So if you're struggling, like, why don't you just work? As a long hauler, you don't know how you're going to feel from day to day. I know that the fatigue will happen every single day. It has for every single day. The only thing that has kind of changed, not for good, not for bad, is when I get fatigued. When do I get fatigued? It doesn't matter if I do anything or not, which I normally do. That could be my biggest issue anyway, that I never rested. Not even when I lost my dad to COVID, I was already in fight or flight mode, fighting myself, thinking maybe it is in my head. Keep going, you're strong, you're tough. But why am I so tired? Lately, I've been getting fatigued at about 3 p.m. And then my migraines set in. No matter what. Like, now I'm choosing to relax. But if I keep going, I'll get a migraine. If I lay down, I get a migraine. The migraines aren't forever always. This is, I think, my 4th day this time. I told my friend it feels like a menstrual period. Like, I know that for at least 3 to 7 days every month, I'll experience migraines. And not every day is an extreme migraine. Like, these last 2 days, it's calmed down to just almost more scary. Just one shooting pain behind my eye, and like, I can't decide if it goes up the neck or down the neck, and this right here in my head. I don't think I have my brain fog too bad today. But when I do, I might sound like I'm drunk. I'm slurring my words. I'm forgetting words. I can't think of the word to use. If I'm typing or texting, I don't recognize words. Does that look right? Is that even a word? I mean, we all walk in the room and forget what we're there for. But I will pace around the house, forgetting just everything. Just everything. I don't even know what goes through my mind when I do that. That's probably the first sign that my fatigue is about to set in. But I'm having trouble learning new stuff. I tried to start a new job about a year ago for a security company, a home security, selling home security, which for me, I've been in marketing for many, many years. It's second nature, but I couldn't learn. I felt like I had a learning disability. I couldn't block out the noise around me, the other people. I couldn't retain the information. I couldn't read something and remember it. I had to keep reading and keep reading. And even for that moment, if I remembered, I wouldn't remember the next day. I felt so dumb. I remember going home crying, like mad at myself, embarrassed, frustrated, scared. I had to stop driving Uber for a while because the vertigo was really bad. I couldn't check my blind spot quick enough without losing my... I even had troubles following maps. Getting lost in familiar places. The tingling and numbness in my legs. Now it feels like it's just a part of me. It's not It's still scary, of course, but it's not scary because it's happened every day, every drive. I could drive to the gas station down the street and get it. But at the time, it was scary because I don't know, am I going to lose function of my leg? Can I use the brake? What if the gas too hard? Just things you take for granted every day. But those symptoms don't make you look different. You might sound different. But again, if you're going through grief and a loss, a lot of people can contribute those symptoms to that. But when you don't really ever get sick, you know when you don't feel good. You know when something's not right. And that's the most frustrating. Post-exertional malaise is something else common or commonly experienced. Post-exertional malaise is being exhausted from sometimes everyday tasks, exhausted like fatigued, exhausted like mentally, draining. Like, I feel like I just worked a really hard day. Stressful. But some of the things that cause it are shouldn't be stressful, like taking a shower, going to the grocery store, trying to find doctors, going to the doctor, having long conversations. That was weird for me. I didn't live near my family, but to have an hour conversation so I can catch up, it killed my whole day. And again, I thought, don't stop babying yourself. But you know it's real when it keeps happening. And then when I found out it was an actual thing, it's a thing. It's part of, I think, chronic fatigue syndrome, is called post-exertional malaise. To just feel completely drained after basic tasks. I'm not scared to work. I want to work. I've overcome all of these symptoms for a really long time. All I want to do now is sleep. I just want to sleep. I don't have a whole lot of insomnia because now I can't get myself out of the bed. I never had that problem. I still overcome it because I can't fail any more than I already have. But why is it still this way? It's scary and it's humiliating and draining and depressing. Being gaslit consistently and trying to hold yourself together without losing your ish. When you stop explaining yourself because you think you're just going to overcome everything and everyone. But then when you do that, when you just shut your mouth and try to move on, then they really think you're making it up because you don't talk about it. So is being strong really hurting me? I don't know. I'm too tired to think about it. So I mentioned chronic fatigue. I mentioned post-exertional malaise. Basically just having no energy after doing minimal, what should be minimal or daily activities. And, I've been pretty hard on myself about it until I realized it was really a thing. I thought maybe I'm just being a baby. Why am I so tired after going to the store? Just extreme exhaustion is how I can describe it. But, sometimes people don't want to believe what they don't know. So, that is part of my objectives and my goals as I create these videos, because it's not getting me anywhere to try to explain it and not have my proof and evidence ready in hand. So, what's the definition? Post-exertional malaise, PEM, is the worsening of symptoms following even minor physical or mental exertion, with symptoms typically worsening 12 to 48 hours. So, with long COVID, I know many of us would agree that we might have a good day, or we think we're having a good day, and we do. Go for a walk, maybe a longer walk, maybe go out with friends, do something that would seem fairly normal before we were sick, or fairly normal to anybody else. And then we still actually feel okay, but it might be a day or two, or it could happen just hours following. I've seen people give interviews and then they had to lay down right away. So it's different for everyone, and it's different each time. A lot of times in our chat groups, we mention, I'm having a relapse. Well, when we say relapse, it's mostly post-exertional malaise, but our relapses can include the numbness, the tingling, the nausea, the migraines, the brain fog. It's like it all just comes back at once. And we don't always experience post-exertional malaise. So again, it's tricky, because if somebody's with me one day to the next, they're going to say, well, you were fine yesterday. Well, how come you were able to walk around the zoo yesterday and now you can't get out of bed? BS. I call BS. Okay. Tricky, right? So, well, if we want to find studies on long COVID, I mean, all you have to do is type it in. And then this is just one. This is just one. Because I do read medical studies. Unfortunately, if I'm sharing to prove a point, most people aren't going to read all of this. But the issue here is, well, I guess you can't really read this one anyway. But the title, Long COVID Exercise Trials Proposed by NIH, raise alarm. So, thankfully to there's a whole other community already that exists for chronic fatigue, ME/CFS sufferers that came along long before long COVID. And they don't have answers. And unfortunately, yeah, now people are paying attention to them because of us. But even before the long haulers came around, to try to tell somebody to exercise more because of maybe what is it called? See, there's a brain fog. Unconditioning, that's not the word. They say, you know, if you're sick and you lay around too long, your body's going to start to lose muscle mass. It's going to start to uncondition itself. So you've got to get up, you got to walk around, you got to get going. But if you truly have something wrong, it's usually some type of autoimmune disease or irregular response or still some kind of virus or something. Exercise is not always the best answer. You might hurt someone more than you're going to help them. And so as I seen another cardiologist who told me, make sure I'm getting 15 minutes of exercise every day, I questioned him. Because one, I probably get more exercise than I should, more exercise than a healthy person. I push myself, and that's probably my problem. But I also don't like a basic answer like that, as if 2 years into this, I didn't think about exercising. And if you're a cardiologist, it didn't once cross your mind that I might have post-exertional malaise. Even as I brought it up, he looked at me like I invented a new cookie. I don't know. So, I'm sharing this because it's real. It's real. That's all.